and stroked my face and looked at me in the most loving way. No, I'm not ruining my makeup today. These are the worst types of tops to wear. You don't know if they're even or not even. They just become uneven. Okay, so Autism Awareness Week. I really wanted to film this video and get it in before the week is out, because as a mum of 2 autistic boys and a sister of a man who has autism, I felt that I had a great opportunity to just speak to you very briefly about autism. So what is autism, if you don't know? So autism is a neurological disorder, and from what I gather from my understanding of it, I'm not going to go in too deep on the scientific facts on autism. That's not what I do. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional, but I'm a mum with experience. So it's a neurological disorder which affects the brain in different ways. Affects them where they see things differently, hear things differently, and feel things differently. How they see the world is different to the way that we see it. On what level, I don't have any idea on how different they see the world. I have a brother who is going to be 37 this year. So I've grown up with having autism in my family. And I would say my brother is on the medium to high side of the spectrum. There's different levels of autism. So on the severe end, you've got people who are non-verbal, who stem quite a lot. And when they stem, I mean they can either go around in circles, they can rock back and forth. They usually find something which helps them calm themselves, and they'll repeatedly do that over and over again. And I haven't got any experience in the severe side of autism. So my brother, who the professionals deemed that he was medium to high functioning, which we all disagree with, he's not non-verbal, he is verbal. He's able to take himself to the shop, he's able to get himself dressed, he is able to live by himself with support. That being said, he still needs help with hygiene, he still needs help with what appropriate clothing to wear. He has no control over his finances. My mum has to take care of that. His self-care, hygiene, cooking, all of that still needs to be done for him. So I would feel that compared to a high functioning autistic person, Leon, my brother, is not high functioning. I have seen high functioning people with autism, and they have a quirkiness about them. They do things a certain way. It has to be routine, things like that, but they still get through life without having that level of support that my brother would need. No one's lucky to have autism, but I do have a secret envy of the people who are high functioning, because I would wish my brother was more towards the high functioning side. I have 4 children. My 2 eldest, which you've seen in my previous videos. When Javan was 6, I was getting very broody. I wanted more children, but I couldn't decide. I was thinking, okay, I have a boy and a girl, I should be satisfied, but I've always wanted a bigger family. So I couldn't shake the feeling off. So we decided to try again, and within 3 months I fell pregnant. So we had Jaden, and I had suspicions about Jaden when he was about 15 months old. He was quite behind, or very behind in his speech. I always say the biggest thing which made me feel there was something different or something could possibly be wrong was when I was talking to him, it seemed to be going over his head, like he just looked through me, and it will be hard to get his attention. I go back to when Jaden was born. When Jaden was born at about 3 months old, I was absolutely adoring being a mum again of a very young child. I'd missed it, I loved it, and the whole time I was looking at him, I was thinking, when he gets older, he's not going to have that sibling who is going to be extra close to, because I know Jayla and Javan, they're only a year apart. No, they're 2 years apart. They're 2 years apart and they're extremely close. And I wanted that for Jaden. So he was 3 months old and I crazily suggested that we try again because I didn't want him to have no one to play with, and I just wanted to make sure that he had someone. So we crazily decided to try again when he was 3 months old, and within a month I fell pregnant again. So Jaden and Jay are basically a year apart. So this is confusing now, I'm confusing myself. So Jaden, so obviously when Jay was born, a few months after Jay was born, which is my youngest child, that's when we was having suspicions about Jaden. We got him diagnosed and it felt like something bad had happened to me, and I felt like I had to grieve. And I don't know why I felt like I had to grieve, because we're all doing so well and we've all adapted to having autism in our lives. We really have. It's hard, but we've adapted to it. But when I first heard the news, all I could think about was my brother. My brother cannot drive. My brother cannot have a child with anyone. He wouldn't know how to look after a child. He hasn't got a job. I don't think he'll ever be able to have a regular full-time job unless an employer was going to be extremely nice and patient enough to train someone like Leon. Leon needs prompting throughout the day to stay on task. An employer who's willing to do that is going to be quite hard to find. One statistic I have heard during the Autism Awareness Week, 16% of autistic adults are in paid work. That speaks for itself how bad the employment sector is at wanting to try and do something, or the government wanting to try and do something about that. So that really worries me. Once Jaden was diagnosed with autism, so he hadn't told me he loved me by the time he was 2. It was hard to get any affection from him. He was still always look past me. I would be talking to him and saying, Jaden, look at this, look what mummy's got, singing him songs, and his eyes would be like just not focusing on me. And then one time when we had a therapist over and she was doing some work with Jaden, I don't know what happened, but we was in the middle of doing a task together and he suddenly just looked at me dead in the eye. And he just stared at me for about, 20 seconds and stroked my face and looked at me in the most loving way. No, I'm not ruining my makeup today. He looked at me in the most loving way, like he'd seen me for the first time ever. Like he was looking so deep into me. And I was like, did you see that? Did you see how long he looked at me for? I couldn't believe it. So, and that was like our first positive step forward. So we had early intervention, and the early intervention was very little. The speech therapist was, lasted for about a year. Okay, he might have had about 8 sessions in 1 year. And suddenly but surely, by the time he was 4, he started talking more and talking more and talking more. And he's in a mainstream school. So then when Jay, my youngest boy, when he was around the same age, I started to get the same suspicions. And everyone said, no way. There's no way that he's going to have it as well. And if he does have it, it won't be nowhere near as bad as Jaden. All the way up until he was 3, it was quite hard work. So we had Jay tested, and lo and behold, same diagnosis. And Jay happens to have autism more on a severe level than Jaden. So again, he's not on the right down the severe end of the spectrum. He is still verbal. He is still very social. Both boys are extremely social. So I am very, very, very lucky that the boys are able to be social with other people. Jaden is probably over social, and I believe he's called a seeker. He's just on the go, constantly on the go, doesn't sit still, wants to kiss me 24/7. He wants to kiss my legs, he wants to kiss my arms. He doesn't sit down, has to have things done a certain way. If you touch something, it's got germs on it and he won't have it. Has to have the same cereal. It's hard, but he's also the most loving boy that I've ever met in my whole life. I've got 4 kids. I know I'm biased, but Jaden has the personality which I've never seen in a child, and everyone sees it. His teachers see it. My friends see it. Other mums see it. Jaden is absolutely a very, very, very loving boy. So God help anyone who messes with him. So JB, he's slightly more severe. So he's more sensitive to noise. He tends to cover his ears a lot if we're walking past a road which has got busy traffic on. He gets very upset if something drops on the floor. But it doesn't cause him to have a meltdown, thank goodness. So no, both boys don't really have meltdowns. JB, I would say if he has a meltdown, it would be over and done with within 5 or 10 minutes, I would say. And I think that might be a reflection of our parenting, because we know what's going to make it worse. So you saying back to somebody like JB, no, you know you can't have that. No, that's not how we do it. And if you keep saying things in a negative way to him, that would make him completely worse. So we just say, okay, that's right, I know, I understand, and that just makes him more calmer going about it that way. So it's tricky. There's a lot of psychological blackmail involved, but it works. It really does. So what does JB show? How does his autism affect him? So he smells everything he eats. He has to know where he's going on a day-to-day basis. If you change his routine, he would not like that and would become upset. So I warn him 2 or 3 days before this is going to be happening. If my older children, if they had a dentist appointment and I forgot to tell them, I'd wake them up in the morning and say, come on, we have to get dressed, we're going to the dentist. That's okay. Oh, okay, we're going to the dentist today. Joey, he needs warning so he can accept it into his head and know that that's going to be happening, so he'll be okay with it happening. So both the boys have an obsession, and autistic people tend to get obsessed with things, and sometimes these obsessions can last a long time, and sometimes they switch them up to different things. So Jaden's is pirates. He has been in love with pirates since I can't remember, and also villains for some reason. He likes all the Disney villains, and he wants to wear his Captain Hook costume all the time. And I said, you need to be somebody else next year. You need to be Simba. No, it has to be a villain. Joey's obsession is Disney cars, or cars, sorry, not Disney cars, cars in general. So this is quite common in autism. I find a lot of parents who have got autistic children will have, especially cars or Thomas the Tank Engine, or trains. That is a big one. So I have gone on the National Autistic Society's early bird course, which taught me a lot, and I met other parents, and it was so lovely to meet other parents going through the same things as me and knowing exactly what I was going through and hearing similar stories to mine, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they're going through exactly the same thing. So eating is another thing. Jaden very rarely likes to... Can you shut up? So Jaden likes to eat the same foods over and over again. He is a good eater, but he likes to have the same foods. So me introducing something new to him can be a challenge, but he will try it reluctantly, and if he ends up liking it, it's a bonus, and he'll say, I like this, and I'll be like, good, I told you. Or he'll just be like, no, he can't, and he'll become extremely upset if I was to try and keep coaxing him to try. So I don't do that. But he's very rigid in what he likes to eat. Joey, he is different with food, textures, having food in his mouth, he finds difficult to swallow and chew. So he plays around with the food for several minutes, sometimes spits it out again, sometimes runs to the bathroom without me knowing and spits it down the toilet. It's like, especially with meat, he has a big issue with meat. So there's something about the texture of food which makes him struggle to get food into his system. So he was becoming quite underweight, and we was worried about it, and the doctors told me to fatten him up with all kinds of milkshakes and stuff, and then I've got the dentist telling me, no, don't do that, he's already losing too many teeth at the age he is. So there's lots of conflict. Anyone knows being a parent period of children, regardless whether they have disabilities or not disabilities, is the most hardest job in the world, and being a single parent is even harder. I'm very lucky to have my husband, so if I had to do it on my own, I know I would still stand up and do it, but I can imagine me being probably more of a low mood about me if I had to do it by myself. We've learned to embrace autism. We've learned to not let it take over our lives. We're not letting autism dictate our lives and constantly have that as the main focus. We know it's their condition. We know what will help them and what won't help them. At the moment, things are good. It's when they get older is when my real worries will start, when they become adults. What support are they going to have? Are they going to be able to work? Are they going to be able to have children? Are they going to get married? Are they going to be able to drive? All these things, what we people without a disability takes for granted, are maybe, possibly not going to be able to do. And I have had people tell me who has autism, and parents of children with autism said, my son was able to drive. And that gives me hope. But I also know that not one autistic person is the same. But they're so young at the moment, 6 and 7, we have no clue what their future holds. But what I do know is that I'm always going to try hard. I'm always going to be there. Never give up, never lose hope, and always try and make sure they get the best chance for life. That is what means a lot to me. If I can die in about however many years time knowing that them boys are going to be okay, then I will be a happy woman. You don't need to be worrying about the small things in life. Be thankful for what you've got. That's what I say. That is my motto. One thing I always question myself on, if Jaden was diagnosed with autism before I had decided to have my last child, I probably wouldn't have had my last child, because I would think my work's going to be cut out for me, it wouldn't be fair, and I just need to concentrate on Jaden. But then I see how close they are and how much they love each other, how much they need each other. I do sometimes question that. That is the honest truth. They have each other, and I think that's a really good thing, that they're going to have each other for the rest of their lives. They're always going to have that brotherly love, that support. So in a way, it was a blessing in disguise. Did I think that both of them would have it? No. So my one wish in life, if I was granted a wish, is just to make sure they're okay, just to be okay. Autism Awareness Week. How aware are you about it? How aware? And what can you do to help? You can ask your employer, do they ever consider hiring autistic people? If not, why not? If you're a business owner, maybe you would consider taking a chance on hiring someone with autism. In my eyes, I'm definitely not suffering. I'm very grateful for the boys. I'm grateful for my family. I've learned to live with it. I've learned to deal with it. I just hope that their future is going to be a good one. And as long as I'm breathing and alive, I will try my best to make that happen for them. I really hope you enjoyed this autism awareness video. It means a lot to me. It really does. Because I've done my part. I've shared what I wanted to share. And if you have any experience with autism yourselves, then please leave a comment below. Say hello. Yeah, I should have filmed this look today. I should have filmed it. Oh well, okay. Thanks for watching.